It's Muskoku, Ricky, Nico, Lukusi, Johnny, Gators, and Mussolini, Hannibal, Liz in this party. Red Nana, Red Tsunami, Red Creeks, and a Red Ferrari, Red Clay, Red Ranger Bodies, Medico, and Exabody, Yaya, bless. They call me Mr. Manifest. You fellas screaming out the chest. I got this technique best. I found my destination through a red light. Rock your soul through the daylight. Hot your going crazy, right? Nancy going crazy, right up, man, fight. I'm purple hazy through the night. I'm thinking chili out of spite. I'm thinking sushi for the slice. I'm speaking Alabama cream. I'm South Dakota through the streets. I rock that rage out of tape. Koozie King is out of ranges. Koosa, Koosa. Like a flame, like a dude in the fields of the core, and I got something funny.
All that time I was talking, I wasn't saying nothing. Bam. Well, let's start it again. Good evening. First name's Doni, last name's Glover. Entered the winning for the long haul, baby. What I was saying was, I want to start with the word indigenous, not just in the geographical sense, but in the spiritual sense. Indigenous means being rooted, native to the soil, original, before systems, before institutions, before algorithms. I was reflecting on a song by Mozzie called Seasons. And the last show I was trying to remember a line, and I listened to it. He said, we go to war for this African blood. We go to war for this African blood. And the thought came to mind with this show all into my background. We've gone to war for this American blood. This land. We have tools, we have ancestry tools, genealogical tools to look back generations to find out who we are. And we can go back several generations. Many of us, thanks to Hannibal and others, have connected the dots for us. If you're in Maryland, if you're in New York, chances are you got some roots straight down south. North Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Chicago, over that way, probably got roots in Alabama. That's what we've brought out on the show, the patterns, the connections, the interrelationships. But we've also, I think, with this show, created a safe space where those of us who have a third eye and who don't believe everything that's in American history books, like George Washington never telling a lie, chopping down a cherry tree, that we know that there's more to this American history, our history on this land, than what we've been led to believe. We do know that we fought in every major battle on this land and afar. We do know that racism, ignorance, and I don't know that it's racism. I think it's fear. Because you can't hate Black people, but yet you want to make love to Black women. I think there's fear and some low self-esteem issues that certain peoples need to deal with. But it's not hate. It's inadequacy and an unwillingness to accept one's own inadequacies, address them, work on them, do your push-ups like everybody else. America breeds a certain sense of entitlement. And many of us can get it in varying degrees. We expect this. We have a certain sense of, it's owed me. I deserve that. Nothing but the best for me. Damn whose neck you step on to get it. Damn the blood diamonds. Damn the blood on the diamonds. We just talking about diamonds. Never mind Sierra Leone, South Africa, other places across the world where people are barely living, barely making a living, but yet, they're struggling. So indigenous, that's the theme. And Hannibal, you there? Come on in. Whoops, my bad.
Hey, what up, though, Donnie?
What up, though?
I'm chilling. Hey, what up, though, everybody?
How you been, man?
Well, I've been good, man. I've been good. Just thinking
about... We'll get cranking tonight. We got a couple of things to say.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking about, you said we lost our inheritance, and I think a lot of us don't really realize what this inheritance really means, when it comes to the estate of us. You get what I mean? Our estate. And that estate includes like land. It includes intellectual property, meaning the things that we make up. The things that we make up in fun drives this country. You get what I mean? Are the way we create genres of music. It starts like with my mama, your mama hanging up clothes. The little girls used to sing that outside and stuff like that. Now that stuff has been commodified against us, meaning that we got people that's not in our community using our own creations, our own intellectual property against us.
And putting their stamps on it.
And putting their stamp on it.
You got to get their permission to use your stuff.
Right, that's correct. But then at the same time, in a sense, we got gatekeepers allowing them to do it. You get what I mean? They're with it. They're going along with it, whether knowingly or unknowingly.
I say a lot of them unknowingly. A lot of them are busy focused on their mortgage and their car note and their private school tuition and paying off student loans than to use the positions that they've been afforded for what they were supposed to be for. You know, we celebrate people like what's the lady ran the National Council for Negro Women, Mary McLeod Bethune.
Yeah.
We celebrate people like C. Dolores Tucker, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. But how many of us are really willing to use our positions to actually help people? We had a couple of events where this lady from Constellation Energy, that's the big energy company in this area, she sponsored one of our events. She came out, she spoke, and I know this woman from social media, and she's always passing around grant money applications, job applications, job opportunities. When you meet in person, she's giving you references, she's referring you. So we certainly have our thoughts about big energy, whether you're in Detroit, Maryland, wherever. Yeah, we have our thoughts about the big energy companies. We understand the game, but this is a melanated woman that works for them who is giving us access. Right. Now, we're gonna use the access, or we're gonna continue to whine about it.
I think the obvious answer is to use the access. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that we got to start being more involved, especially with the state of the world now. You know what's going on currently in the world. You know, especially
talk about it, man. You know what's happened since we last got together.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Especially, you know, it's like, where's our place in this world as Black men, Black women, as Black people? What say do we have in this fight here that's going on? Actually, you get what I mean? I was trying to be quiet about the whole situation of what's going on and not put my opinions out there, but I was looking at something today about if we go to quote unquote war, if this would be a big thing. You know, you got young people out here that's in high school, you know, 10th, 11th grade right now that could be subject to going to a war, a big war, you know, over something that could be overlay for the underlay, put it that way. You know, it's ironic that all this stuff is happening at the same time, you know. So it's like we've been pulled in many directions.
You say it's ironic?
Yeah, I'm just being facetious when I say ironic.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all together.
Right.
So I mean, it's you know, Donald Trump reminds me of, and I don't know a better word, but you know how you got a class of kids and it's just that one kid in there that can mess up the whole vibe.
Yeah, but I think it's bigger. I think it's a whole bunch of people on both sides of the fence that's next and they asses, excuse my language, is on the line here, and they covering it up, and we're seeing what the lengths they would go to cover it up. Put it that way. You know,
I'm not sure where you're going.
I'm saying that we would actually be in a World War III instead of actually solving the issue with our leaders.
Oh yeah, because there are people who benefit from war.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
it's big business.
Same thing. It's like whether in all them wars, like you said, we was a part of every war. There's no documented war in this country that our people haven't been a part of. And what have we benefited from? You know, what was our place in it? What was our dog in the fight? You know, even now that makes me think about now, what is our dog in the fight? Because we got a dog in the fight, intentionally or unintentionally, whether you say something or not.
Oh, we are as a nation aligned with Israel and the United Kingdom. And those other countries in the Middle East who don't, who Iran will pop on. Iran will pop on anybody. United Arab Emirates. I mean, don't forget what was it, 8-year war, Iran, Iraq. Iran will fight anybody.
Yeah, they fought. Which one of them countries fought for them? They had 50 years over there. Fought Russia for like 25, 50 years.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Nobody beat Afghanistan. Nobody.
Yeah, so you got
to beat Afghanistan. It's like beating in Vietnam. Come on. These people underground, they in caves. I was in the Middle East. I was in Jordan. And we have no idea about just climbing sand dunes. Just climbing a sand dune. Like a 6-foot wall of sand. You got a 75-pound backpack on. And you trying to climb, and the Jordanian is running past you in flip-flops.
Yeah.
With one of them rocket launchers on his shoulder. You got a 75-pound backpack trying to cross up that sand dune.
All right.
Or we look at the caves. We look at them in caves, and we look at that as uncivilized. That's our American mind, man.
I think we react to what we fed. You know what I'm saying? Most of us get our knowledge from TV.
Hey, bro, them mountains, those caves in the heat of the summer, that's AC.
Oh, yeah.
That's what AC at.
Yeah, I done been to like Somalia. I done been hot like that. I done been to where you can boil, where you can fry egg on a hood. I've been in the hot places.
In Somalia, what was the temperament of the people?
It was easy going. I know that the children basically ran the country. You know, the kids that was like 13, 14 teenagers, they ran the country. A lot of the men were like broken. Their spirits was broken. A lot of them, they chewed this thing called khat, this plant. And
we know.
It's a hallucinogenic, and but the women were extremely strong. You get what I mean? They were. That was a humbling experience for me, but an awakening experience for me, because I must got connections there, because I felt something there.
I've heard from an Ethiopian friend how they had to walk. Essentially, their grandmother walked them to school, and I'm guessing like 10 miles one way.
I know that.
Come back home and then walk 10 miles back to get them at the end of the day.
I know that you learn what the true meaning of culture is, and to have respect for culture. You get what I mean? Of how and why people do what they do. Same thing with us. How and why we do what we do. You get what I mean?
I'm talking about a country where we have a selection of shoes. I'm talking about a country full of people who might have one pair of shoes. And I'm not saying all people. I'm just saying, do we know how good we've got it?
I think it's.
Come on, Hannibal. Yes or no?
I don't think all of us do until we walk outside, until we leave this place. You get what I mean? Even in the ghetto here, we got a lot more than people had in Somalia. I know that. I know there was that everybody wore flip-flops. I know, like I said, the children was running things. I know that a lot of the food, there wasn't no restaurants. It wasn't nothing like that. It was people just cooking on the street, but it was basically like they was bartering like for free, but not there because the money was worthless. They were just giving us tons and tons of the money because the money was valueless. So I think I think it's when you hear the other Americans say, well, the white folks say third world country, that's what they mean, where they done got you to the point where your money is worthless. You get what I mean? They got you to the point where you don't got no infrastructure, to put it that way.
So I got to push back on you.
Yeah.
People from these quote unquote global South countries, because you can already imagine global North. it's all in who's telling the story.
Right.
Because from the global South perspective, and that would include South America, Africa, Asia, they have a non-Western perspective. And whether we want to admit it or not, if you grew up here, then you have a Western perspective, because a lot of the language here is tainted with that European flair. Although, and we can't forget, there was history and language and government and businesses and communities and confederacies here in the Americas long before the European arrived.
Right,
and we know that we were here because the Olmec heads were dated back 2,500 years ago, and Luzia was in Brazil 10,000 years ago. So melanated people on this side of the world is nothing new.
I think it's like, it goes back to the exchange of cultures. You know what I'm saying? That people been exchanging cultures for eons here. It's like we're, as a people, as we're trying to prove to people that, hey, we've been here. You know, we've been across the planet in every place. You get what I mean? And this is facts that everybody know. You get what I mean? That we basically, and we are the fathers of civilization and the mothers of civilization. We are the ancients in the flesh. You get what I mean? It's that a lot of us, like I said, it's not connected to that. You get what I mean? And I think we need to get connected to that. Before we go farther, I want to wish Planet Wells to give him good health, because he's still under the weather at this moment.
Our prayers of Planet Wells.
Yeah.
I wanted to say this too. We do talk about indigenous on this show, first and foremost. However, we cannot be, that does not mean that we don't have an international perspective. And I think what's going on right now in Iran, or Iran, as the indigenous people there call it, is very important. It's something that all of us should be mindful of. This is a very serious deed. Now, you know, this isn't just an isolated incident. This man has bust caps in Venezuela, snatched their president, took their oil. Now, you know, an international effort against Iran, and Iran is a sworn enemy of Israel.
I think that we need to be concerned, because our people are within the military.
Yeah, many of our people are in the military.
So it is.
You're a veteran.
Yeah, I am a veteran. You know, so you got a lot of families that's on edge now. You get what I mean? Like I said, even those who think they are disconnected. You know, if you got children living here in America now, it's easy as this guy instituting a draft or saying, hey, we need soldiers, we need bodies. So here go your children getting hit, you know, like reliving that draft back, they said back in the 60s, my father said they instituted for Vietnam. You know, when they asked for everybody to come, you had a lot of people that was ducking and dodging and running away. Yeah. I think the thing is, when we are a diverse people, you know, our suffering together united us over 500 years now, you know, but we've been diverse before this suffering that we had over here. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to be coming up with solutions now, you know, to be involved. You know, we can't, you know, a lot of times, a lot of us take the position not to be involved. You know what I'm saying?
Everything you do is political. I hear people say this is an election year. And you know what? Oh my God, I can't even believe I've slept it this long. Tuesday is an all-important election in Texas. So, you know, I know a lot of people come on the show and say so-and-so is on another show. So tell all of your people to vote in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You want to spread the word? Vote in Texas. And who am I talking about? I hope you already know Jasmine Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
That sister got a powerful spirit, man. She out there doing the damn thing. Years ago, it was Stacey Abrams out there on the forefront. We got to know, like years before that, it was with Verda Welcome out there, Fannie Lou Hamer. We've had some strong sisters fighting for us, man. Ida B. Wells.
All right. We're a nation within a nation.
Ethel Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Ethel Payne. She was was like the godmother of the black press, White House correspondent.
That's what
this is Women's History Month, among other things, for those that acknowledge it.
You said it right, that everything we do here is political, whether you want to play a part or not.
Yeah, whether you want to be a part or not. No action is an action.
Right. No action is action.
So I tell people in Maryland, if you're in Maryland, you need your state representative, call 410-841-3000. If you're in Baltimore City, you need your elected official, you call 410-396-3100. Every city, every state, you should know your state phone number, your city phone number, who the hell to call. If you ain't calling, what the hell are you doing?
So that goes to this point on the indigenous fact. If we speaking on being indigenous, that means we talking about being self-determined. So in the idea of being self-determined, that means that we must have a say into the affairs that hinder us, that affect us. You get what I mean?
Yeah. We got to have a position. We need to know who's on our side, who our allies are. Not that either party is going to be a saving grace for us. We're going to be our best cavalry.
Right, but then at the same time, they can't come with the same rhetoric like they did before.
We have to be engaged and politically astute and know what's going on. Right. See, we got to know numbers. This, if you're watching this show, let me tell you some basic stuff. Join your community association. Join the nearest community association. Right. That's how you get started.
Yeah, learn your neighbors.
Learn your neighbors. Speak to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Be a neighbor. Got people, man, they move in the neighborhoods and they don't even speak to their neighbors. They don't even know their neighbor's name. We need each other. I don't care who you are.
Right.
You ain't even got to speak English. Watch my house and I'll watch yours. You understand that?
Right. Do the people, like in Baltimore, it used to be in Detroit, that the businesses that was there were owned by people that lived in the community. You know, the teachers, the doctors, everybody lived in the community. But now it's like the businesses that operate or that are in the communities are not living there. You get what I mean? So the community is not a community.
Integration. I'm 60. Back when I was, I guess about 10, so 50 years ago, people were leaving the inner city. We could leave the inner city and move to the suburbs. And in Baltimore County is the suburbs. Mm-hmm. We got deer, bunny, rabbit, and foxes. Ain't no deer, ain't no bunny, rabbits, ain't no foxes in the city. And people wanted better schools and houses with lawns and driveways. And so we started moving out, leaving West Baltimore and moving to Northwest Baltimore County, the Liberty Road corridor, Woodlawn, Randallstown, Owens Mills, bigger houses, better neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you 8 miles from where you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't going back to where you grew up, except to visit your mama or check on the house. And after years, they stop checking on the house. If they don't do nothing with it, then the house becomes a vacant house in the inner city.
Mm-hmm.
But I got somebody who can explain it better than me.
All right.
I got your homeboy. You remember Tiger Davis?
Yes, sir. Hey, how you doing, sir?
Hey, all right. How you doing, brother?
I'm awesome.
Delegate, you right on time.
All right. Well,
you right on time. I'm going to put you straight on Front Street. First of all, how are you doing, Elder?
Hey, I'm hanging in here, man. Hanging in. You know, like I say, 83 ain't like 73, but thank God I made it.
Hannibal wrote this book, and Tiger helped me with. He's taught me so much. One, he taught me about James Fortin in Philadelphia, a melanated millionaire who bought the sale company. He was a free man of color. He bought the sale company, and he was heavily involved in politics. And a very interesting story that Tiger shared. His son wanted to go to Liberia because at that time there was an emigration movement. There were melanated people who fought for America who were going to Liberia, and melanated people who fought for the British in the Revolutionary War who were going to Sierra Leone. And the father, and I was just thinking to myself yesterday, Tiger, the daddy is probably right. The daddy was saying, no, I'm not moving nowhere. This is my land. I fought for it, and I'm staying right here. You go where you want, but I'm going to stay right here on mine.
But more importantly, what he said was that if we go over there, then who will be back here to fight for our brothers? And so the son said, look, if we go over there, we can produce cotton. Cotton is what keeps the slavery alive here. If we go over there and produce cotton, we can sell it to Europe at a lot cheaper price, you know. And so both arguments were good arguments. And see, this is one of the problems that we face today. Whenever someone disagrees with you, then it's the end of the world. But if we look at each other's from each other's perspectives, we might see some validity in both, you know, and maybe we are about the same thing.
A point made just before you came on, Tiger, that Hannibal was saying, and I'm gonna defer. I'll fall back after this, Hannibal, is how everything we do is political. People say, "Oh, I'm not political," and of course, you know, at the end of this dialogue, I just want you to say, "Go, Jasmine Crockett." I can't believe you would not say, "Go, Jasmine Crockett." So I'll shut down.
Well, the issue right now is victory. And if you look at that district there in Texas, that district is over 40% Latino. The Latino brother has a better chance of defeating the Republican candidate. But it's not my battle. Whichever one wins the primary, I'm going to be with them. Okay. Now, of course, Jasmine Crockett, that's my baby. I love to see her. I love to hear her talk and all of that. But the mission is to win that seat. And whomever the winner is, we need to rally behind that particular person.
Okay, so I want you up, and I'm glad you're right on time. So this is the danger, Tiger, of people hearing a podcast or a clip and presume that they know about you. So this guy here says I have a Democratic bias, and how he could get that, I don't know. But give him a little bit of history, Tiger.
Well, I don't know what history you want. I can give a lot of history, but
tell him why his comment there. If he knew some things, he might not think that. He might say I have a Republican bias.
No, I didn't hear the earlier comment.
I don't either. But I will say this: we were able to get more out of a Republican governor, Bob Ehrlich, in this 2-1 Democratic state, this 9-1 Democratic city. We were able to get more out of him than we were, I would think, most Democratic governors, including money for my alma mater, Coppin State, and some groundwork that was laid on North Avenue that Democratic Governor Wes Moore did come in and drop $50 million on.
Yeah,
So I would say,
you know, well,
we
look,
had to
what
use
Westmore did ain't nothing compared to what Bobby Ehrlich did. Bobby Ehrlich, that university, first of all, he put a ton of money in the Carver, okay? Then he put a ton
Carver
of
High
money,
School.
yeah, Carver High School. Then he put a ton of money in the Coppin. And, you know, you've got to give him credit for that. He was doing everything possible to earn the black vote. But the black vote is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Democratic Party, who wins the election, and then they dance with everybody but us.
Yeah, everybody get pushed to the
And
front of the
people
line.
look at us like we're fools.
Yeah.
And like I always say, I don't care about this one or that one, whichever one put the bacon on the table or give us what we asked for. It's what we're supposed to do, dance with.
Okay. Well, okay. Hannibal wanted to talk with. I'm sure Hannibal had another line of questions if you had any, Hannibal. But ultimately,
I'm really listening to you guys. You know, you guys actually.
One thing that has come up on the show, Tiger, is the Racial Integrity Act and the land that was taken just by reclassifying us. We went from Negro, went from colored to Negro, and in the process, one drop of black blood, we lose land by way of the Racial Integrity Act. And we've talked about this before, tens of thousands of acres of land in Virginia alone to the tune of about $5 billion was written right out of our lineage, out of our inheritance.
Yeah, but not only that, they've been stealing our land, all that land that they found oil on in Oklahoma. You know, they say, well, you know, you own the top, but you didn't own what was beneath the land, right? And so, you know, they've been stealing our land. Look, black folks from the beginning all wanted land. My folks down in Georgia may have been sharecroppers, but they always fought to own the land that they lived on. Okay, that's always been part of our heritage. You know, somehow we've lost that sense of land ownership or the value of land. We leave from down south, running from the beach of the South, and we left land and all kinds of wealth down there in Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and places like that.
Yeah, like Alabama.
Yeah, end up being stolen by taxes.
So Alabama, we got land allotments, and a lot of the people that owned us manipulated them land allotments. So under the law and legal redress, we got a right to redress. A lot of people that descend from the Muskogees and them creeks down in Alabama, them 18 counties down there. That's what I was trying to, that's part of the estate. That's part of the inheritance that we lost. A lot of this property is in trust property with a lot of families. If you got land or a group of family land, that's a trust there. So you got to find the original trust, and then you can especially in Alabama, you can connect that to a native, you know, or an indigenous person, put it that way.
Yeah, because, you know, everybody I know down south always fought to own their land, the land that they lived on.
Yeah, because you have nothing without it.
And you know, there was a real class distinction down south. For example, my mother's family were mostly sharecroppers. On my father's side, they either owned the land or they leased the land. They were not sharecroppers. Those folks then looked down the nose at my mother's family, who were sharecroppers. And they didn't want my daddy to marry. And then there was that other thing about that color thing, right? You know.
What, y'all had paper bag tests down there? Y'all had paper bag tests?
Yeah, we had all kinds of tests for. Look, And my family, they always caution you about marrying light-skinned people because the whole thing was their daddy was somebody else, and they would really rather be with their daddy, but they're forced to be with you. And they will always look down their nose at you because you're not light-skinned like them. Because the whole thing of being closer to white, the better you are, you know. And so my folks had a thing, and I always had this prejudice against light-skinned people. You know, always had it. And whenever something happened, I would always blame it on the fact that they was light-skinned. Yeah, we got these little things inside.
That made me think of, I just shared a video with Donnie. Good Donnie, could you play that video I just shared with you? It connects what you just said in a way. Yeah, it does. So this video talks about the Plantations. It talks about, it's a rapper back in the days named The Immortal Technique. And he talks about sex plantations.
Every plantation with cotton on it. You know what plantation they've never shown us, Abby? The most prominent ones, the ones that were most profitable, the breeding plantations. Why don't you want to show us those? You know why? Because after the research that I did for this album, you realize that the moment that a girl menstruated, she was put in a stable where a horse would be and forcibly mated, forcibly raped by a male of the slave master's choice. And when she had children, they weren't called children, they were called a litter of pups. The punishment for raping or killing a person in medieval Spain is gelding. Gelding is when you take hot pincers and you take a man's balls and dick off root and stem. Killing a person, law of the Bible, right? Medieval Spain, super religious. You killed a man, he should be killed. Why were indigenous and Black people categorized as subhuman? So under the law, you would not be punished for the things that you did to us. That's why. You used to be proud, right? Used to be proud, white America, of rape and murder. You used to be proud of colonization. You used to, wow, that made us tough. And then you got ashamed of it. And that's what you're dealing with. That's what America's dealing with, a schizophrenic crisis. There's a British manual, right, that was taken out of the British Museum because within the manual, it talked about how rape was a weapon of war that should be used against the indigenous population. You're ashamed of that now. You're ashamed, right? Who was Christopher Columbus? His image has been so whitewashed, but he was trafficking little girls on an island. Who does that sound like, huh? They've shown us every plantation with cotton on it. You know what plantation?
So that goes back to, like, you know, a lot of these children didn't have, or their parents weren't together like that. It was forced, you know, even when it comes to the, what they call the tragic mulatto, or that light skinned one, or, you know, what's that old movie with Mahalia Jackson? I think we talked what's the name of the movie? The lady had the pancakes in it, and she had the daughter that was could pass for white. And
Imitation of Life.
Imitation of Life. You know, it's you know, that the threads of Blackness. You get what I mean? The compilation of us is you know, I don't know, I don't got the words to put it, you know what I'm saying, to put it all together. You get what I mean? It's tragic what we went through. It's tragic what we got to accept. You know, like you said, you had this prejudice against light-skinned people. Then you got light-skinned people that got prejudice against dark-skinned people. You get what I mean? Within us. And so how are we equipped to fight the outsiders? That's it. You know, we'll never be equipped because it's internalized. You get what I mean? Until we get over that part. You know, because now a lot of our families are diverse like that. I think now, I think it's more, I think it's skin
Black
color.
people that hold on to that light-skinned dumb shit are just as sick as white people that hold on to that dumb shit. Because that's what it is.
Yeah,
dumb
yes,
shit.
it is. But one of the things you got to remember.
Hold tight, Tiger. French wee. Some of them slave stories are made up, but some of that was real, including the alligator bait, them using black babies down in Florida, melanated babies, what have you, for alligator bait. That's for real.
Yeah, but what's also real is how they institutionalize breeding. Mm-hmm. Andrew Jackson's plantation called a Hermitage was a breeding farm for slaves where they actually bred them just like they do cattle. Where Morgan State University sits was a breeding farm for slaves. And it was almost like, you try to get a better breed, get a better product kind of thing, And so we have been through it all here in America. But out of it all, we have become strong because we had parents and in particular women who understood certain truths. And they kept us together and they made us strong. Okay. And therefore, you look at people like, and we don't know our history, but a guy like John Vachon of Pittsburgh, he was a hero in the War of 1812. I just happened to run across him once again because I was looking at stuff for the Revolutionary War. Because, see, what happens is we do not take ownership of this country that we built. We built this damn country, and we need to take ownership of it and claim our rightful heritage, okay? Now, yes, we was part of that genocide against the Native Americans and all of that, fine, okay? But the bottom line is almost all the science, technology, or whatever that evolved in America came from us. White folks didn't do no work, so therefore they couldn't invent no damn cotton gin because they had no idea what it was about, And I don't care whether you look at the music of this country, the culture, whatever. We built the damn country.
Now watch this, Hannibal. You done heard how Tiger explained some of his early experiences with race, right? Now watch the reaction on his face on this one. I got something for you. Damn, where it go? What you going nowhere, Tiger? I got a treat for you.
Well, while you're doing that, I always get that because I married a light-skinned lady, right? Oh, my man. Hey, there he is, March Carrington. Yes, sir. William Carrington March. Now, that was a great man.
Now Hannibal.
No idea how great he was.
Hannibal, is that man black or white?
He got brown eyes.
So well, let me just tell you, when I was a little boy, now my daddy was undertaker. This man was a big time undertaker here in Baltimore. And I remember saying to my daddy, I couldn't have been no more than 11 or 12, Daddy, is he black?
Is he?
He said, son, he's more, and out of respect, he said he's more in than you. He was the funeral director, the first big one in my generation.
He was much more than that.
Huh?
He was much more than that, man. Look, he laid the foundation for elevating blacks in business. Okay. All of these funeral directors you see, like Von Green, all of them with the big funeral homes, they all come out of the circles of William Carrington March. Now, who was William Carrington March? First of all, William Carrington March landed at Normandy in 1944, June 6, 1944. In fact, he was awarded the Jubilee Medal from the government of France because he was one of the liberators. He returned home. He works at the post office, goes to school at night, and his wife, Mrs. March, they built that funeral home while he was working at the post office, working 2 jobs or what have you. And then he took in all of these other young funeral people who wanted to be funeral directors. And all of them, practically every last one of them in this city, worked for William C. March at some point or another. And what did they do? The first thing he did was to set up that scholarship at Dunbar High School in his sister's name. His sister.
Elma.
And that's right.
I got the first one.
I keep forgetting you're a poet, man. So you know the story.
I got the first one.
Yeah. Look, this man was truly one of the first 3. And he was so humble and mild-mannered, you wouldn't even know he existed. But when you sat and talked with him one-on-one, all you could do was sit and listen in awe because he wasn't going to raise his voice.
Gangster.
There wasn't going to be a lot of emotions or
Gangster.
any of that. But the knowledge you got from him. And one of the things that I've been wanting to do, Donnie, and I didn't do it this year because I had something else to do this year, was to tell the story of William March as a veteran who served this country, was a hero, and he came home and then devoted his life to his community, to his family and community, man. That's William Carrington March right there. Truly one of, and people just look at the funeral home and they have no idea who he was. Man, he had to work at the post office full time, man. Full time. Just to feed his family. And built that funeral home on the side, man. And thank God he had a good woman with him, huh?
Miss Roberta.
Miss Roberta. He had a good woman with him, and she stuck right with him. And look at all the kids and the grandchildren, all are well employed and they're young business people.
So let's talk about that briefly. All of us have been affiliated or part of business in our lives. Tiger, how difficult is it to get your child to follow in your footsteps? How does that work? It don't always work.
It's more difficult today under this. Because when I came along, it was all segregated.
Right.
So we were a different animal than the animals today. Okay. Today they come up with all these ideas where they don't feel the connection to family and roots as we did. Okay, we relied upon our family. We relied upon our community for protections and all of that, man. We didn't rely on no police or nobody else. Now our kids all over the place being taught all different kinds of things. And when we came along, we went to Dunbar, Douglas, and Carver. And we were taught that we had to be twice as good to make it in that world out there. And we were twice as good. This is why in Carver, they had the best auto mechanics coming out of Carver. They had the best tailors coming out of Carver. I don't care what it was coming out of Carver. They were the best in all of their fields.
Carver High School, George Washington.
Now they say it was a vocational high school, but then look at all the lawyers that come out of Carver.
But Tiger, I just want to remind you, Hannibal is in Detroit, so he don't know Carver.
Yeah,
he know the name George Washington Carver. That's all he needs to know. He know who we were there.
Yeah, we got some great schools.
No white folks going to know George Washington Carver, right?
They called us, at one time they called Detroit the Black Mecca. Said we had like 1.2 million blacks in the city at one time. And we had like 27 high schools. I went to Benjamin O. Davis Jr. Aerospace Technical High School. That's where I graduated from. I graduated high school with an airframe mechanics license.
You said Benjamin O. Davis?
Yes, sir.
Junior.
You know who he was?
Well, yeah, that's the general. Him and his son were generals. I know who
But you know,
Tuskegee Airman is. I'm friends with a general that's a Tuskegee Airman.
Okay, so I'm glad we're on this note. This is March, and we just left Black History Month. I got to put 2 names out there, and I'd like to get a couple names from y'all. Well, I'm gonna throw a few on there. I gotta claim Harriet Tubman, Araminta Ross, but what comes to mind are Maggie Lena Walker.
oh, Magdalena Walker,
Maggie Lena
Madam
Walker.
Walker, Madam C.J. Walker, Madam C.J. Walker.
No. Maggie Lena Walker in Richmond.
You talking about the lady who developed all the wealth?
Yeah, but the first bank.
And finance black folks, finance the Black Business League, the Negro Business League.
Yeah, the first Black Wall Street.
Madam, that's Madam Walker. That's what we call.
No. Those are 2 different people. Maggie Lena Walker, not Madam C.J. Walker. That's a different one. But since you mentioned Madam C.J. Walker, a lot of people associate her as being the matriarch of the quote-unquote Black beauty industry. Now, I want every melanated woman out there to know that before there was a Madam C.J. Walker, there was Annie Turnbull Malone. Annie was an inventor. She came up with her own product, her own business system. I mean, she created Avon and all of that stuff before there was an Avon. She had colleges, Poro colleges out there in St. Louis. She was training melanated women to take care of their hair and sell products. So long before Madam C.J., Annie put Madam C.J. on, and Madam C.J. probably had a bigger Instagram following, but the mother is Annie Malone. So there you go. So I want to hear about 2 women from both of you in this Women's History Month. Let's start with you, Tiger. You first up. And you can't say your mama. And you can't say your grandmama.
Well, I could talk about some of the young women that I've encountered, man. Okay, one of them is Nikki. What's Nikki's last name now? Nikki was the first female to head a combat unit in war. Okay, what's Nikki Knighton? N-I-C-K-Y, Nikki, that's her nickname, Knighton, K-N-I-G-H-T-O-N. Look her up. Hey, Colonel Nikki. I think her first name may have been Christine, but we always call her Nikki Knighton. Hey, man, look, we have no idea of the great women warriors that exist. And they're live today for us to see. You know. Now we could talk about the sister who.
Oh, hold on, I got her. Hold tight.
Hey, bad, beautiful lady too, man. Hey, yes, sir.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna write a piece about her for Women's History Month. So that's how. Hey, bad man, combat aviator, man. Hey, what about all those sisters? One of them was the admiral that was head of the fleet in the Indian Ocean during war. What's her name? Howard, I think her name was, right? Howard. Admiral Howard. I can't think of her first name. Because you got me right on the spot there. I couldn't even think of Christine's first name because we call her Nikki all the time. People have no idea what Black women are doing in the military over the past 25 to 40 years, man. These women have been extraordinary, man. Extraordinary. And I love to talk about them. Hey, she's pretty too, ain't she? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
She don't look like no man. She's pretty lady.
Me in no trouble. Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, so when I think of women, oh, there's Howard. There she go. Hey, look, Can you imagine that in charge of one of them task force that's over there in the Indian Ocean right now?
And she's a retired U.S. Navy 4-star admiral.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She was head of the fleet over there when they went to war in the Middle East, man.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know what it takes to be a general. You know,
Hey,
it takes
man,
a lot. Or
so,
admiral, that's
you know, I have a tendency right now to focus on these ladies, man.
yeah.
And I'm talking, but now beyond these ladies, there's some bad command sergeant majors too.
Yeah, it is.
Women, man, when they had an opportunity, they stepped up and they were the best out there, man. You hear me? They were the best. And when you see this fool with this anti-DEI stuff, man, oh man, people have no idea the damage that boy doing to America, because people like this will not have an opportunity to apply their skills and talents to the building of America, man. Yeah, so look, and I can just rattle off women's names, you know.
I got one. She gave me my first job in the city of Detroit when I was 14, and I was part of the Detroit Summer Youth Program. Her name is Kim Weston. And if everybody, you know, she sung a song with Marvin Gaye called "It Takes Two." That song, "It Takes Two, baby."
Yeah.
She gave me my first job. So she put together like it was called Festival for the Performing Arts. So it was like everybody that was in the city that was in the performing arts. You know, she had like former Motown writers and, you know, singers, all that worked with us, you know. And then at the end of the summer, we would put together like a big festival at Hart Plaza, right off the river. You know, when they show the city of Detroit, the little water fountain, and we'll be right there doing a presentation. It was, you know, doing a jazz festival in the summertime. I'll never forget it. Her name was Kim West. And then there was another lady named, we called her Miss C. She came to the neighborhood and gave lunches out. So these women were pivotal to me, you know, in my life. And, you know, that's one famous one and one non-famous one. One that knew my family since I was like in preschool. You know, she still knows our family, you know. So
now, Tiger, I got a bit of trivia for you. I can't let you go. I got one last piece of trivia for you. That's too easy. So, Tiger, the people in the chat want to know, do you know what happened there? Oh, damn. What'd I do? You still there?
Yeah.
Cancel. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry about that. Do you know who Califia was? Or let me ask you like this. Do you know who California was named after, Tiger?
Not right off the top of my head, I don't.
Well, California was named after a melanated woman. You care to tell them, Hannibal?
I can believe that.
Hannibal, you care to touch it?
Okay.
Yeah, I can believe that.
You know, I know just a little bit of what they say, the legend of Khalifa. You know, they said it was a tribe of women, right? It's like basically they trying to say they was like the Amazonian women, where it was just a tribe of women and they lived on the island. They did things for themselves. You know?
Well, this is what they look like, Tiger.
You notice that design at the bottom of the dress look like an H. That's down in like it's a place where it's like these concrete blocks, and they in that shape like that. And it's like they was like we had the technology with drills in ancient days where they was making these intricate H's out of blocks, out of stones, and that's on the bottom of the dress is that symbol of them, or what they had down there. So they had that in the blocks.
All right, Tiger, I'm getting ready to show you something that you've been in politics for a long time, but they didn't tell you that the Great Seal of the state of California was a melanated woman. You ready, Tiger?
Bring it.
There you go. And the story goes that the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch, was the Western version of talking about Califia. They even go so far as to say she had flying monkeys. But I don't care what she had. She put the fear of God. She was like Nat Turner out that way. That's the way I got it. How about you, Hannibal?
Yeah, we got to do more stories on her. You know, like you said.
Hey, Tiger, you think we can get President Trump to give Nat Turner a national holiday?
He'd do it before Biden or some of them boys will. You know, let me show you how our folks are. You know, we've been fighting for 80 years plus to get Dory Miller the Congressional Medal of Honor. I've personally been involved for the last 40 years, okay? So some of the folks who've been working with me say, well, look, we ain't gonna ask Trump. Because if Trump do it, it ain't right. Whoa. You know, I got problems with that simply because I don't care if Biden don't do it, then so what if Trump does it? We gave Biden all the right kind of information to get it done, okay? But Biden, they played with everybody but us. Let me give you some data here, okay?
Okay.
In 1940, the population of the United States was 89.8% white. It was 9.8% black. Everything else was classified as other. That meant like less than 1%, you know, everybody else was thrown in the category. Native Americans, Eskimos, Hispanics, you know, everybody was thrown into that other category. By 1950, it had not changed very much at all. So tell me how can 27 Asians get Medal of Honors for World War II, and blacks had to fight just to get 7? How can that be?
Because
the numbers just ain't there, okay? So we made the case to Biden, and they didn't even have the decency to respond. And we bust our ass to get him in office, man. So I don't care if Trump does it and embarrass all the mother folks. Look, when he promoted Colonel McGee during one of his speeches, Trump promoted Colonel McGee to Brigadier General, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, oh, wow, he's being very political. Well, it's always political, ain't it? Mm-hmm. Once you get past Colonel, it's all political. Now, tell me why a man who was a Tuskegee Airman, who flew all those combat missions in World War II, then flew all those combat missions in Korea, then flew combat missions in Vietnam and commanded a unit. No one ever flew as many combat missions as Colonel Charles McGee. So why is he only a colonel? Trump looked at it and said, hey, this man should have been a general, and makes him a general right there on the spot. Even though he had retired, he made him a general. So you want to criticize Trump for that? Come on now. He should be praised for doing that. Well, man, it was just political. It's all political. And when the Democrats don't do it, just like take for instance Kip Ward. You know, one of the great prides of Morgan is that we produce officers who excel. Of the first 5 black generals, right? 2 of them were students at Morgan when I was there. You know, I had gone to the military and then come home. 2 of the first 5 were students who helped take over the administration building when we demonstrated back in 1968. A third one was on our board of trustees. The other 2 generals Roscoe was the first 4-star general. Then you had Colin Powell, right? Mm-hmm. But 3 of the first 5 had Morgan connections, and 2 of them were classmates of mine at Morgan. Here's what happened. Kip Ward was the first to head what they call AFRICOM. That was the African Command, right? Kip Ward. They busted him from 4-star general to 3-star. All because his wife, they claimed his wife was not authorized to travel with him or what have you and all that. That's bull crap, man. When you're a 4-star general, man, your wife is part of your team. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, she has to host all of those heads of states in the AFRICOM or what have you. You know, he got busted under Obama's administration, man. From 4-star to 3-star. Now, I'd like to see him get that 4th star back. That's about $20-something thousand a year. Mm. You know, but he did his fight and he hasn't complained and he continued to serve his community. You know, but we made the case for all of that, but we don't get anywhere with black administrators or Democrats that we put in office. We get more out of the Republicans than we get out of them.
Yes, sir. So do you know the lady that's on the screen? You ever seen her before?
Let me put my glasses on here a minute. I left my glasses upstairs, so I got this little broken down pair that I use here.
So one of our viewers, Harold Horton, said this is his cousin, Empress Verdice of the Great Washita tribe. Mm-hmm. You know, her people, I think they got a UN seat. If I'm not mistaken, it's UN seat 215, I believe. And her father was connected to the Louisiana Purchase. So she got lineal proof that they are the natives, the mound builders of Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. She's the head of the Washita Nation.
Yeah. So this is like a lot of that knowledge was like circulating like in the 90s, you know, about her and her people.
Mm-hmm. There's so much we got to learn, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. So much we got to learn.
Like people like John Horst, the interpreter, the one who interpreted between the United States and the Muskogee Nation or that treaties they have. They'll tell you it was one of us that did it. You know, that was the one who was interpreting it.
Yeah, so much we got to learn. You know, I've gotten so old now, and I'm learning so much that I can't retain it all. but the good thing about it is that at least I was opened up in the through the black school system to that knowledge, and you know, and so so I'm receptive to all of the newfound knowledge or what have you. That's the first thing. We got to be receptive. It's kind of like when we came home from the military, we go to Morgan and we come back in the community, the basketball court, we ain't shooting that rock no more, right? Mm-hmm. We talking Black power and Black liberation and that, hey, man, I ain't going into this church no more because they got that white Jesus up there and all that kind of old stuff, right? And the brother say, hey, man, look, man, them niggas go out there to get that education at Morgan and coming back here and talking about Jesus was Black. Man, Jesus wasn't no goddamn nigga, man.
I got a question for you guys.
That's what we're dealing with, man.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the other name for the Civil Rights Bill?
The Civil Rights
Bill from the 60s. One they call it the Indian Civil Rights Bill. With Coretta Scott King and her father and them.
Do you have it?
No, I'm talking about the original Civil Rights Bill.
I'm saying, do you have it on your computer?
Let me show you. No, that's what I'm saying. It's another name for it. It's the Indian Civil Rights Bill. I think we can people can Google that.
Indian Bill of Rights. You ever heard of that, Tiger?
Not right off the top of my head.
There we go.
Margaret said that President Kennedy at a speech told Americans, the Black Americans are the Indian and the country was built with many Black Wall Streets and the government destroyed it. You ever seen that clip, Tiger?
I may have, but it don't just spring right up immediately. But there are so many different things that you run across now. For instance, in my home, well, we call it my hometown. I was born on that plantation. But, in the town square where they used to hang and beat my people, they got a statue of a Black guy who fought in the Revolutionary War. And then beside that, they got another plaque that says that it is estimated that more than 40% of the militias were Blacks and Native Americans. 40%, man? Come on now. I ain't never heard of no crap like that, right? Now this is hang 'em high, kill a nigga, Georgia. And they got a plaque up there like that. So if they got that plaque up there like that, there must be something to that. 40%, and it just blew me away when I went down to Georgia and I saw that. I just couldn't believe it that they would even put up something like that in my native home of Georgia.
Planet Wells, how you doing, brother?
Look like the whole team gathering here tonight, huh?
Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, look, got all the gray beards on tonight.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hey,
Absolutely.
by the way, man, they've got a memorial service for Brother Jamil, a.k.a. Rap Brown. I think it's March 29th up at Medgar Evers College in New York, don't they?
I'm not in New York, but sounds right.
He's from New York. He's from New York, but he's in Hawaii.
Okay.
And we've talked about Ace Rap Brown on a recent show when they carried him out of Cambridge in a casket.
Well, that's the only way we could get him out. Because look, the one thing they respect is a dead one. And so what happened is, because nobody really knows that whole story, what went down. What happened is, Rap made his speech and white folks was riding through the Black neighborhood discharging weapons. Because, you got two streets. You got Ray Street, that's white, and Pine Street is Black. They run parallel. Okay, on all them streets that cross both of them, what happened is this young girl, she was well endowed too, boy. She was scared to go home. Rap say he'll walk her home, man, right? Because he was scared. And so we was walking, man, them white folks opened fire. And that's how, whenever you see Rap from down there, he got that patch on his head, one of them pellets hit him in the head. We had to get him out of town in a hearse, man. That's how we got him out of town. And Chief Kinnaman, not Kinnaman, but what was that? The Attorney General. I can't think of his name, but he threatened to shoot me on sight if I ever set foot in Cambridge again. I told him, hey, may as well go on and do it now. Let's save some time and shit, you know. But that's the kind of world that we lived in back then, where the police chief and the state's Yates was the state's attorney's name. They could threaten to shoot you right on sight, you know, and stuff like this, and nothing could be done about it, you know. And all we could do is just tell them, go ahead, shoot me now, kind of thing. Because that's the attitude that we had back then, you know. We was ready to go if had been.
Tiger, were you aware of all of the black towns? I mean, in my book, I talk about the 70 to 80 in Oklahoma, but East Texas had 500 black towns.
Yeah, look, of course. Look, and did they ever talk to you about how they were set up? They were set up even before the Civil War ended, because the blacks set up their own towns everywhere out west. And wherever they did, they thrived. And white folks became jealous and burned our towns down everywhere we were, man. You know, look at Maryland and all those little black towns.
That's low self-esteem. If I see you doing good, then and I become jealous, that's something mentally ill in my head.
Well, white folks always been mentally ill. You know, I mean, look at them. They've never accomplished a damn thing other than steal what somebody else can accomplish. That's all. I mean, look at all them little towns here in Maryland, Mardella, all them little Eastern Shore towns. And some of them that's called, what we call Union Town or something like this. Hey, blacks built them towns, man. And Lewis Diggs wrote about all of them in Baltimore County. Denby Town, you name them, they all out there named after black families that own all that land, man.
Yeah, this is the type of knowledge that they scared of. This is why they taking. This is the type of knowledge that they scared of. This is why they teaching our children different things, like, you know, in school. You know, they don't want this type of knowledge being taught to our children because it empowers them. You know, if my
I don't think this should be all in our children's sexuality.
Like, our children that don't have sexuality when they going into school, right?
Yeah, but in their educational system, they are introducing their own concepts to our children.
Yeah.
Well, look, that was the greatest downfall of integration. Because once we began to integrate, then we got all them foreign values coming into our community. Our children are being taught by foreigners, man. You know, and that was one of the worst things that ever happened to this. Is why I was so happy. I never went to an integrated school in my life. Never. And so I have no no conflicts here. You know, when you go to them little integrated schools, you know, you're taught against yourself. Okay. And take, for instance, look at the kind of things that happen. Take a guy like Percy Williams, Dr. Percy Williams. He's principal of the only black high school in Harford County, right? So when they integrate, he's not qualified to be a principal or even an assistant principal. So he gets fired, right? Then the state understands his quality, so what do? He becomes an assistant superintendent for the entire school system. That's the kind of stuff that we've had to endure, man. And of course, Dr. Percy Williams was an officer during World War II. He was a military officer. But see, that's the one thing about those guys from World War II. They came home after experiencing all of what they had to endure, and they devoted their lives to the development of the next generation of blacks, man. And, you know, we can always be forever grateful. You know, some of them like Coach Edgar Lee Bell. Remember Coach Lee at always hung around Dunbar?
No.
Well, little coach, he produced all them championship teams, man.
Well,
There
let
wasn't
me
no
ask this.
coaches in high school.
Let me ask this for the sake of brevity, because we've been on the L25. What's the solution?
Well, my thing is this: is we got to first find out who we are, you know, and we got to accept who we are. We're the greatest people on the face of this earth, man. Okay, we have endured and we have achieved with somebody's foot on our back. Okay, that shows how great we are. And we've always been superior to all other groups, man.
Planet, what's the solution?
Consistently improving. Never stop improving.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Hannibal, what's the solution?
Mending family relationships that's broken. You know, being there for, you know, our family unit. You know, like the elder was saying, it was, you know, our family depended on each other. You know, I'm 52 now, so I'm probably one of the last, you know, Generation X to see the older generations. You know, now the children now just see the negative from our generation, maybe the generation above us. You get what I mean? So I think mending family values, mending broken relationships, and I think that'll help. You know, because that'll start the community. You get what I mean?
We must rededicate ourselves to our future, which is our children, man. You know, our children have run amok out here. And they've run amok because we have not put in the time with the kids, man. Like the generation. Look, I'm a beneficiary of my father's generation. That was the World War II generation. I can tell you about every last one of them, man, and how they impact us. Remember Coach Brown at Dunbar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look. Coach Brown.
A baseball coach.
Yeah. You know, I thought I should have been first team, right? In the 9th grade. I quit the team. And then I sat on the hill for a couple of days, you know, at the park. And I just wanted to go play baseball because, you know, we all wanted to be Jackie Robinson back then, right? So I go, boom, boom, boom. Coach looked up. What can I do for you, Davis? I just started talking and couldn't stop. I said, Coach, I made a mistake. I never should have quit the team and blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm going on. And he sat back. Most coaches would have told me to get the hell out and come back next year and try for the team. Coach thought for a minute. They say, son, come here, sit down. For a young man your age, and I just turned 14, young man your age, to admit that he made a mistake shows as a demonstration of maturity. And there's something in you, boy. Sit down here. And then he started giving me all that old cornball crap about a winner never quits and a quitter never wins, and all that old cornball stuff, man. But I sat there and I listened.
Me too.
I never quit on anything again in my life. Mm-hmm. And I could have quit on my marriage and family.
I'm going to tell you a lesson he taught me.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, Coach put it to me, man.
He taught me a lesson. I gotten in trouble. And I was talking about it because I had to go to a program after school. And he told me, don't ever tell anyone that I had broken law and got hemmed up.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that's not something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Baltimore, I heard grown men say, boy, you don't know nothing about bitten.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to show you.
No,
now,
I
look,
don't, sir.
50 years later, I was with him on his deathbed. That's how tight we were, okay? Because, you know, I knew more about his family than he did because his first wife and the children, they were estranged from him. And so when he died, I knew his daughter from the next marriage. I had to tell all the kids who he was. They never even knew he was a Tuskegee Airman cadet, man.
So bring that on to 2026, the lesson. We want to stay in a solution. I'm hearing you say...
Look at what he did for you and what he did for me. But do you know, to show you, my son graduated from Dunbar in 77. What year did you graduate?
83.
All right, my son graduated in 77 from Dunbar. Do you know Coach Dickie Brown would give him lunch tickets and stuff like this and sit there? He didn't know that was my son. In fact, he was born when I was 16 in high school, right? Okay, he didn't know that was my son, but he watched over him the same way that he did me. So I didn't know how close they were until I said, well, I got to go by the nursing home because I got to go see Coach Dickie Brown.
Okay, so
and then he says, oh, you know Coach Dickie? I said, yeah, of course I know Coach Dickie Brown.
Okay, so let me bring this back to what you just said. I heard you, and this is in a solution. I just heard you say you were a 16-year-old daddy. Any advice to young men who find themselves being fathers at an age earlier than they may be ready to be a daddy?
Well, look. I thought that children were gifts from God. That's the way I looked at it. My wife and I are still together. We've only been married for 61 years, but we've been together for 68. Huh? Hey, look.
So slow down, partner. We got to give you a salute.
He got pissed off when you called me and told me to come on the show tonight. You gonna leave me and go downstairs? Hey, man, look. I get on March 29th, 1958, at 7:30 p.m., I gave her a friendship ring. Now, it's always been one of the big stories in my family because I wrote to my grandmother to ask her to send me money that's in Georgia so I could buy her a ring, right? My grandmother
How old were you?
I was 15, and my grandmother sent me the money, but she also sent my mother a letter and asked her if I was getting married because I wanted the ring, right? And so my grandmother my grandmother and my wife were like that. I'll never forget it. She always was on me. Look, I told my wife, look, I'm done. Here, I got 4 kids now, right? But I'm done. Take the girls. Y'all going back to New York with your daddy and all of them, right? I came back to Baltimore. I walked into the house. My grandmother was there, right? And she had come up from Georgia to visit. So she say, well, where's Bobby? That's what she called my wife, Barbara, right? Where's Bobby? I'm through with her. I'm done. She said, wait a minute. What do you mean you through with her? You got 4 children, boy. Sit down here. Mom, I say, sit down, boy. I mean, that's the way it was, right? Mm-hmm. And then she went on giving me this old cornball crap again. When a man and a woman can't get along, it ain't on one side nor the t'other. But what you got to do, boy, because you got to answer to God for you. You got to look at yourself and stop looking at her. And check yourself out. So you be right with God. Mm-hmm. Mom. Because, most times, families would have sided with me or what have you and accepted all this nonsense I'm talking about my wife, right? But that's how the wisdom, she couldn't read or write, but she could read the daggone Bible, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happens, but she could.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she was real funny with it too, because you know that little passage where Jesus rode into Jericho on his ass, right, his horse. When my grandmother got into church, she said, and when Jesus rode into Jericho on his behind, she wouldn't say ass, right? Hey, look, man, let me tell you. In families, man, we got some stories, boy. And if you come from down south, you got a whole bunch of stories to tell.
Well, we're going to end this story here tonight. Planet, come on, let's get this bong gong going on. We're going to end this show. We usually pass the ball to Planet, and he gives us a meditational moment. So take a deep breath, Tiger. Unless you got something to say, Hannibal.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, did you see the new thing I did in the new video? As far as the intro?
Here we go.
It's Muskoku, Ricky, Nico, Lokusi, Johnny, Gators, and Bossolini, Hannibal, Liz, and this party. Red Nana, Red Tsunami, Red Creeks, and a Red Ferrari, Red Clay, will hide your bodies, medical, and ask somebody, ya, bless. They call me Mr. Manifest. You fellas screaming out the chest. I got this technique left. I found my destination through a red light. Rock your soul through the daylight. Hot your going crazy, right? Nancy going crazy, right up, man, fight. I'm purple hazy through the night. I'm thinking chili out of spite. I'm making soup for the slice. I'm speaking Alabama cream. I'm South going through the streets. I rock that range on the table. Kusi King is out of ranges. Kusa. I'm talking. They call me Nico Tussanui. Honk a flame like a dude. In the fields of the core. And I got some fun.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Now, now one thing I want to say to the younger generation is that what Tiger was sharing, you know, these stories, yeah, and they're rich. They're very rich, right? They're rich with the seeds of wisdom. But there is one prerequisite that you have to have, and that's the ability to listen. You know, that listening and that observing. And there's a lot of distractions out here for you that interrupt that listening and observing. And if you're running with people or your friends or whatever, and they're ugly to other people, you their boy, your homie, right? So they're not ugly with you, but you see them ugly with someone else. Yeah. Know that they'll be in the future ugly to you.
Damn right.
That's a fact.
Damn right.
So choose via your discernment, and the only way you can access discernment is to be able to listen. That's your secret power. Otherwise, you're walking in the dark, and you'll miss the wisdom. You'll only Oh, it was a nice story, but you missed the wisdom. That's the important thing, because in our time it was slower. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the Tiger was saying, you know, the elder or whatever said, look, man, boy, sit down. Listen to what I got to tell you. Right? Okay. Now that was coming from the elder to him, right? But in this speeded up amphetamine society, you're going to have to, that's what you have to do now. Okay, because that's not the given. Back when we was growing up, that was the given, because there was that respect within the family.
Yeah.
Whether it was whether it was right or wrong, you needed to listen, because there was some gem that you could extract from the elder that probably, in many cases, would save your life. So don't. So let's reel that back to that quality. Okay, to enhance your life. Okay. Okay,
Well
so
said. Well said.
let let's uh let's get into a little stillness, right? And it works by listening, and you follow the listening, yeah? You follow it. So it's not just hearing, yeah? You really got to listen, okay? And you just take it into yourself, your through your ears, you take it in, and you just follow the sound. That's it. Okay. So take some deep breaths and clear out the lungs, right? With that air that we all share, right? No one asks where does the air come from, right?
Hey, Planet, can I put this out there too?
Yes.
Can we put Jasmine Crockett in our meditation?
Absolutely.
She got a big day Tuesday.
And our wishes for her.
Yes, thank you.
And all the people that are in the military, which could soon be in tremendous harm's way. Yeah.
And as well as the people in Iran, the innocents.
As well as that, you know, I hear different people making jokes and this and that. Look, these are people.
Yeah, the human beings. Stop playing.
Okay. Whatever side you're on, access your humanity. You may have to do whatever, but don't have that so that you lose your humanity, because that's the only thing you got that's real. Okay. So let's take a deep breath from that breath, that air, that thing that nobody clocks, right? Where it comes from, we just take it for granted, right? But if you're going to be spiritual, that is spiritual, right? Because when the air, when your breath stops, you're out of here. Okay.
You got banging on your head now, man.
Peace.
Texas, you know what it is. Tuesday, we'll be back at 8 p.m. Tiger, thank you for joining us. Hannibal, as always, Planet. Good evening, world.
Pleasure, Tiger.
God bless.